Hello everyone, Lisa Quinn here. So I'm guessing you've heard a lot about all the changes happening in real estate recently, especially with the NAR settlement. It's left many people feeling confused and uncertain about what it all means, whether you're a buyer, a seller, or even in some cases an agent. So I'm going to briefly break down everything you need to know, starting with how we actually got to this NAR settlement, and more importantly, what it means for you here in North Carolina. You see, real estate practices are very different from state to state. Several states across the country did not have the proper processes or paperwork in place to clearly designate the roles and responsibilities of realtors in a real estate transaction. Now, this lack of clarity created big issues because they also didn't clearly outline how compensation would work between agents. Hence, a lawsuit against the National Association of Realtors and ultimately the DOJ's involvement. But in North Carolina, very little has changed. I've been practicing real estate for more than 20 years now, and our required paperwork and procedures have always clearly outlined our roles, whether representing the buyer or the seller, our fiduciary responsibilities, and our compensation. So while it was a little crazy in parts of the Wild Wild West, here in North Carolina, we've been doing it right all along. Now, as a local realtor, we are also members of the National Association of Realtors, NAR. And in compliance with the settlement terms, there are some slight changes in how we do things, mostly in how we communicate information to our fellow realtors. Okay, sellers, let's talk about what this NAR settlement means for you here in North Carolina. Again, our paperwork has always broken down how the compensation for agents involved was going to work. Out of the total commission noted, a portion was allocated as my fee as your listing agent, and if you chose to compensate the agent representing the buyer, the balance was allocated as an offering of their compensation. This hasn't changed. Literally, in our state, our required listing paperwork has not changed one bit. Now, you might be wondering, well, should I compensate the buyer's agent? What happens if I don't? How much should I offer? These are crucial questions to discuss with your agent, and the answers are going to depend largely on current market conditions and how competitively you choose to position your property. In some instances, not offering compensation might prompt buyers to adjust their offers, potentially asking for seller concessions to cover their agent's fee. Now, this could mean the net amount you receive remains the same, but the structure of the deal becomes a little more complex and potentially problematic. Now, in other cases, some buyers might simply overlook your property in favor of homes that do offer compensation to avoid the risk of additional financial burden. But then there's also the scenario where the projected demand for your home is such that you don't feel the need to cater to all buyers. So there's a lot to consider. All right, buyers, here's what you need to know about the NAR settlement. Again, our paperwork in North Carolina has always stated our professional fee up front. It clearly outlines we'll seek to get that compensation from the seller first, but if the seller doesn't agree to pay it or doesn't agree to pay the full amount, you, the buyer, would be responsible for making up the difference. Now, the most impactful thing that has changed due to the conditions of the NAR settlement is the requirement to have a signed agreement outlining the agent's fiduciary responsibilities and compensation, basically a buyer's agent agreement, before we're allowed to even show you a home. Now, look, I'll be frank, I never did that before. I mean, it felt like asking someone to get engaged before the first date. But now we simply have no choice. The fines for doing so in our area are in thousands of dollars per offense. Now, the other thing that has changed is how we are able to advertise, or rather not advertise, offers of seller compensation. It used to be a clear field in the multiple listing service that all agents use. Now it's not allowed to be there, so agents will be contacting listing agents directly to find out how they're handling compensation to the buyer's agent, or if they are, so that they can make sure you have that critical piece of information before scheduling an appointment. A little more work on our end, but it's important that you know all of the relevant information about a property so you don't get caught off guard. Now, to be clear, there are several different ways to structure a purchase contract so that it works for you and your financial situation. To be honest, because of some of these additional pitfalls to be vetted, it's probably more important than ever that you have a highly trained professional to represent you in your real estate journey. I have spent hours with some of the best legal minds, as well as lenders and real estate professionals, to develop best practices to help you win in this market. So that's a quick overview of how the NAR settlement impacts us here in North Carolina. You know, I have never been prouder of our state's Real Estate Commission and Bar Association. They have always maintained the consumer's best interest at heart in their mandate of our real estate practices. And because of that, when it comes right down to it, the NAR settlement impacts here are more procedural than fundamental. But what are your questions? What are your concerns? Talk out, talk up. That is what I'm here for. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching.